All right, and the recording is on. Welcome, everybody. This is Bernie Floresca from Career Services, talking about how students can actually get involved in giving your input to the 2023 Spring Career Fairs. Actually, I was expecting Nick, who has to run to a meeting at 1 o'clock, and he was going to give some other remarks. Shubham, thank you for the message saying that you may not be able to speak. If you need to pay more attention, I'm going to be recording this, Shubham, so just FYI. Thank you for joining. So welcome to Wasim, Nandish, Nagashri, Neil, Jibola, and Shubham so far.
Hi, Bernie. Sorry, I had a problem with my audio. Now I'm all fine, but I may not be able to speak a lot. Sorry.
Oh, cool. No worries. No worries. Thank you for letting me know that.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's see. So while we're waiting for Nick, who I was going to give a few minutes to, I guess I'll start with the presentation, and he jumps on whenever he jumps on. The intent for today's call was really to answer your questions, understand what this is. For some of the people who've worked with career services and business relations, you kind of know what the big picture is. We have another opportunity to reach out to companies and the people that we want to, that would kind of like be quote unquote an excuse for you guys to reach out to possible advocates who can like help in your job search. So that is kind of the gist of what we are talking about today. Before I proceed, and actually, were there any hot questions from people who just got on this call for like some of the folks that haven't necessarily been around career services activities, or myself in particular? Because we have like Nagashri, actually, this is like your first time, but the rest of everybody else I've kind of like seen at one point or another with career services. So I'm opening the floor for any like hot questions that you have right now. I'm actually buying some time so that Nick can jump on if he does. So, oh, hi, Sanzida. Thank you for joining us as well. So Sanzida is also from BME. So I see that we have representation from like a few areas. So no questions from Sanzida. What about Nagashri?
I don't have any questions as of now. I just want to see how it works, and then maybe I'll have a question also.
Awesome. Thank you for saying that. For how about the other folks who kind of like worked with us before and are already in some version of what we are about to get on? Any questions from the other folks? No questions. We'll just go to the next slide. So you guys like filled out the survey that was asking you, the second part was, would you be able to commit some time and reach out to your desired companies? And if you notice, we highlighted that because we've met with some students in the past who kind of say, we went to the career fair, the companies that we were expecting weren't necessarily there. So let us give the students the opportunity now to like tell us who these companies are that they do want to see at the career fair. And on top of that, let's give you quote unquote the excuse to reach out to these companies so that you could invite them to the Spring Career Fair. So actually that was part of what Nick was going to talk to us about in the few minutes that he was joining us. He would kind of like give us a quick framework as to how it's done today. Companies are starting to sign up for the 2023 Spring Career Fair, and there is a process, obviously, that's in place as to how to do that. And Nick was going to share some of that framework with you so that you kind of knew what you were doing. Are you on? 1 second. Nick was just, sorry?
I added the video that you gave me on the calendar. I'm on there. Are you guys having this session?
Yeah, it's on Zoom. Actually,
yeah, on Zoom. I had whatever you gave me on the calendar. I just hit open and
you're not on Zoom. I have Nick in the office right now, guys. So
yeah, it was like, is it 55?
yeah, it's 12:50. So I was just telling them that you were going to give us a, you know, Now they probably can hear us. Anybody say something, please? Hello? How about now? Say something, please.
Hello, Bernie. Can you able to hear me?
How about now? Can you hear me okay?
Bernie, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but can you hear me?
Yeah, you're
I
audible.
can.
All right, beautiful. Actually, I have Nick in the office with a few minutes that we have. Nick, take it away. And I kind of like told them that whatever however we do it right now when companies reach out to us.
Yeah.
So I guess Nick will give us a framework as to how it's done right now.
Yeah, it's sorry, guys. I think there was a little bit of an issue with the link or the right link. But anyways, in terms of if you are reaching out to organizations or companies that you have interest in or that you've connected with in the past, I would strongly recommend I can provide some marketing material to anyone that's on this call and that would like to use that material when they're speaking with professionals. But a lot of the time, recruiters or companies that you're speaking with would like to know how to get involved and how to get engaged at on campus. And one of the big things that we promote is probably the best thing to do is to get involved ahead of time, but also with our career fairs and kind of promote that, Illinois Tech has a career fair every semester. Give them kind of guidance in terms of what it's like, what your experience is like. I know they always like to get feedback from the students in terms of the style, the format, what's offered, what's not, but kind of give them a personal feedback. And then as I mentioned, we have like a save the date flyer. We will also have general links to Handshake, things like that, where they would be able to go on and register. And you can always give them my contact information and let them know, say, if you have any questions about registering or involvement beforehand, refer them to us, our career services department. But I think the best approach is, when you're dealing with recruiters, when you're speaking with companies who are interested in hiring them, telling them kind of, having that reputation and that presence on campus is key. And will help build future clients and I'm sorry, not future clients, future applicants, in a good just overall reputation on a college campus. So I just wanted to share a little bit of insight in terms of how I approach this, and also letting you all know that I will have material for you. And if anyone maybe feels like, hey, I'd like to maybe be on a call with you, or I'd like to invite you to a conversation that I have with a company, I'm more than happy to do that too. I've done that with students. I've done that with colleagues, just kind of letting people know a little bit about how our career fairs run and the success that we've had with employers and students. So one other thing too, before I run off is I try and pitch and promote it to make it a win-win situation here. So letting employers know that there's a lot of engagement on campus and during that day. And there's a lot of engagement from the students in terms of getting in front of those employers. So, Illinois Tech, the Career Services Department, we really kind of pride ourselves on making this a win-win where it's convenient and easy for the employer, but also for the student as well. Whether that's preparation, whether that's planning ahead, whether that's involvement, currently and in the future. So kind of pitch it as kind of like a win-win situation when you get involved in these kind of events. So I do have to run to another meeting, but please, I'll ask Bernie to share my contact info, and then I will also share some marketing material with you all. And again, if you need help with reaching out to some of these employers, please let me know and we can talk more a little bit more individually. So
Awesome. Thanks so much. Nick.
thanks. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. So everybody, that was Nick. Any quick questions about Nick, what Nick just shared? And then I will give you a perspective as to where we're going with this information. Hello? Hello, hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, but we don't have any question right now.
Oh, okay, cool, thanks. So let me go back to the presentation. So let me just put this in more context for you guys. So you guys kind of like filled out the what you're seeing on the screen. Are you seeing my screen okay?
Yes, we can see.
All right, cool. For the members who, I think I covered everybody as part of the LinkedIn group that we have. This is just standard information. Most of the people who weren't part of it, I already included you into this information. This is talking about the study guide index. We can cover this some more. But for today's session, the whole intent of this is, as you're seeing on the screen, the students reach out to desired companies. And this is from the perspective of feedback that we've gotten in the past for some certain areas or certain groups within the student organizations who didn't necessarily have the companies. So this is actually the opportunity for you guys to, number one, give you an excuse to reach out to those companies. And at the same time, we are going to be learning strategies as to what we're calling you guys as. We're calling you guys business relations strategists as you're reaching out to these companies. So that does two things. Number one, it gives you some sort of official title that could possibly be put on your resume in your capacity of serving as a volunteer. And number two, it's like more official. And you saw how official this was in that Nick is going to be giving you some marketing materials, et cetera, to support what it is that you do as business relations strategies, okay? This part out here and what you're seeing on the screen where it's saying that where you guys get to acquire an edge in job search is what I'd like to focus on for the succeeding slides. Before I proceed to the next slide, some of you have seen this, but I want to put Wasim on standby because after I share the following two slides, Wasim, sorry, I didn't give you the heads up earlier, but I'll give you the heads up now. I'm hoping you can speak, that you're not in the classroom, but the following, and I'll start with the first slide, and I'm hoping that Wasim would be number 3 with a testimonial about the approach that we're about to take. So, like I said, we are giving you the opportunities, we're giving you an excuse to reach out to these companies, to reach out to possible hiring managers and start creating business relationships with them. The intent of what we're trying to do is to invite them to the 2023 Spring Career Fair, but let's make it a dual approach in that as you are going through the process of inviting these companies to the Illinois Tech Career Fair, you as students have the ability and you have the quote unquote excuse to start building business relationships with key people that could possibly be advocates for you in these companies. So actually it's a brilliant thing that's going on. Number one, we have the reason to be reaching out to them. And then number two, you have the opportunity to build those business relationships. Okay. So what is it that we're doing? For some of the students who've been involved with career services for a while, and when you go to the index, we have the section called #businessrelations. What that is actually the ability to build business relationships with professionals out in your particular field. So let me give you an example. Have you ever heard of somebody saying, oh, such and such person got hired because they know somebody in that company, or they have an advocate in that company? What we're trying to do right now is as you're reaching out to help yourselves with the companies that you want to see for the next career fair, you also have the ability to now create those business relations. And that's why you're called business relations strategists. It's actually 2 reasons. You're being strategic in your approach as to who could eventually help you or who could be advocates for you when it comes time to be looking for an internship or a full-time job. Any questions about what I've said so far? I know we're kind of like dumping a lot of information on you guys, so let me open up the mics if you have any questions about what's been shared so far, either from the new people or from the people who've been following business relations and are trying to connect the dots with this new thing that we're adding into the mix, which is the 2023 Spring Career Fair. No questions? I'll go to the next slide if there are. So what I was sharing earlier was this information. Jason is actually a student who I met with at the end of June. What you're seeing right now and you're reading, let me give you a few minutes to read this. Jason said that he discovered the benefits of cold connecting on LinkedIn through career services. And that's kind of what we're going to be doing, because you are reaching out to companies that you don't necessarily know who they are. So it falls into the category of cold connecting. What I'd like to point out here is that Jason, when he came to career services, had a list of companies and people that he wanted to reach out to. And as a result of the cold connecting that he was doing, and as you see it highlighted in the screen right now, it's saying that Jason said that only 2 took an interest and actually offered Jason an internship. Okay? All Jason was trying to do was to connect with people. But in the process of that connection, there was a conversation as to going back and forth. And long story short, because of Jason building a business relationship with these people, at least 2 people came back to him. All right. Before I go to the next one, Wasim, are you able to speak?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
So Wasim, if you wouldn't mind sharing your story about that cold outreach that you did. This was even before you came to career services. So you know the power of cold connecting, and you actually have results to speak. And I'd like you to share that with the team right now.
Yeah, it would be great, like if you can share that LinkedIn post which I posted on the career group.
Okay, perfect. Hang on. So what Wasim is talking about is the LinkedIn group, and thank you, because you're giving me the opportunity to show this to folks as well. So for most of you, once you're in the LinkedIn group, and also for the people who are seeing this after during a recording, when you go to home, and if you join the LinkedIn Career Services group, you'd see it on the left. You click into the group, and this is the exclusive LinkedIn group that we have. What Wasim is saying is a share that he put into this group. That should be right. Nope, not that one. Can you see this okay, Wasim?
Yeah.
Better? Let me know
Yes.
when you want me to scroll. So go ahead, please.
So yeah, like when I was starting for like in search of internships, like the basically like I wasn't knowing, like no one helped me regarding the process and kind of thing, and like being an international student, it was like all new for me. So like I started my internship search in the month of like January, January 22. So all this started in the month of January, like where I started using LinkedIn Premium and like reaching out to people to like get to know more about the company organization. So the main goal was to build connections, like rather than getting an employment. So first build the connection so that like each of them like know very well like what I am looking for, like what I am into, and like in what industry they are working, like how can we both relate for that particular thing. So thing was like I would like search for like some of the like upper level positions, kind of like vice president or senior manager or program manager kind of people, and I would like cold emails for them, like seeking for like just connecting with them and knowing like what strategies can I follow to be on the same pace, and like for example, if I'm into a data science like industry, like what approach would they say me to follow for the particular, like how to build resume or kind of like how to update my LinkedIn profile, and like how to have an like one-to-one session with them and discuss among this. So like as I mentioned over here, like after like doing some around like 100 to 150 emails, so I got a sudden reply from like a vice president from one of the like biggest financial companies in US. So it happened me that like she directly said that like we can have one-to-one session for 30 minutes. So where we can discuss and like I can be able to solve your doubts or queries kind of like. So she shared me link and we happened to connect for 30 minutes. So I was rather more happy that like being on the such upper level position, she gave me like being a vice president. So she gave me her 30 minutes and like she explained her story, like how she started her journey, like what all approaches she felt, like being a professional, how you should start a journey, how you have to connect with people, how you have to treat people. So rather than like getting onto only technical stuff is not a good in an industry. You have to be like a professional kind of like how to connect with people with different department, like where you're working. It's not only the team where you're working, it's the company where you're working, like how to connect with different people across the corporate life, and like how you have to approach, and like if you have something, like you have to be open minded and like do something that brings up the public credibility. So like whatever you're doing, make sure like even if like no one is liking your post or kind of thing, make sure you're putting up in the social platforms like LinkedIn and mentioning that today like I had and attended an event, like what you learned from them, like how you met people across the like different corporate life, all kind of. And she also shared me some insights about like how to get into the analytics field and what approach she followed and what are the main technical skills like the companies look for so in interview. So that happened to like I changed my resume based on her requirements, like and this thing. And she also shared like after like few more days, like she personally like emailed me again and she sent me a link of like where of the job portal. Like in many of the companies it happens like when we ask for a referral, an employee sends us an email and then it happens like that and goes on that way. But the thing is, like, she sent me an email for whenever I apply for a job in that particular company, so it goes as a referral in the recruiter portal. But unfortunately, till the jobs posted by that particular company won't offer sponsorship. So I had been in touch with her, so she was like, once the company opens up sponsorship roles, you can like be able to apply. So this was my experience with connecting to that particular person.
Awesome. Thank you, Wasim. So let's put that in context for a little bit in
Mm.
this, what we're talking about, business relations strategist, this thing that we're sharing with students right now. So in your case, Wasim, you were just connecting with people, correct?
Yes.
So the intention was, yes, you were trying to look for advocates. So you were kind of like doing this in a bubble, okay? Let me contrast that by saying that for our purposes, for this business relations strategies that we're talking about in connection with 2023 Spring Career Fair, whereas Wasim was just reaching out in general to find connections, we are quote unquote using the excuse of the 2023 Illinois Tech Spring Career Fair to have conversations with people. The reason we call that strategist is because we want you as students to be strategic into who you're reaching out to. Okay? Like I was saying, I keep on saying it's an excuse for you to talk to the people who could possibly be hiring managers for you. And just like Wasim, you reached out to this vice president. She was so nice, and that she initiated saying, let's have a call. It doesn't necessarily always happen to be like that, but the reason I wanted Wasim to share was I wanted you guys to have an idea of what it looks like in a perfect textbook case as to how Wasim had it. So I'm opening the floor for questions right now. The whole intent of this launch call was, number one, to get us all on the same page, to understand what it is that we're up to. And number two, I would really like to see comments from you guys so that I can answer the questions. Because what's going to happen after this launch call is we're probably going to have like a weekly follow-up. We'll record it just like right now, because you could attend some of them, you could not attend some of them, but obviously work has to be done in the background. So questions in chat, or feel free to unmute yourself. Let's make it an informal exchange. What have you guys understood so far? Either I was very, very clear or not clear at all. Which one is it?
So you were clear, I guess.
Thanks, Neil. Nagashri for Nandish, Neil, Shubham, and even Ajibola and Wasim. They kind of have an idea of what we're speaking about. Ajibola, we had a talk with biomedical engineering. So I think you're probably connecting some dots right now with what we have. But Nagashri, this is kind of like your very first time possibly hearing what's going on. So not to put you on the spot, but if you could speak, what are you getting out of this so far?
Hello,
What
one. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I don't want to disturb. Yeah, go ahead.
no problem, go ahead.
No, first you ask. I will ask later.
Okay, Shubham is from aerospace engineering, so we're kind of covered. The reason I keep on talking about your majors, because I want this to be strategic. If we're calling you business relations strategist, like I said, strategist has a very particular connotation in more levels than one. We want you to be strategic with your approach with the companies, but we also want you to be strategic so that we're operating as a team. And we're not like reaching out to the same people with the same companies and kind of like ticking them off. So Nagashri, did you want to take the floor or should we let Shubham ask the question?
Yeah, like I don't have a question for now, but then if I'm not wrong, all I have to do is reach out to the people of the company that I am interested in and try to pitch them in with the Illinois Institute of Technology, if I'm not wrong. Is that correct?
You got it right. Very correct, Nagashri, but there is a right way to do this and there is a wrong way to do this. So some of the folks that you see on this call right now, they've been in 1 or 2 sessions with me with other workshops. I see that you're just like now new to the group. I'm going to direct you to some of those workshops so you get your you get to understand what the approach is, but you captured it very correctly, Nagashri. You now have the ability to reach out to the companies that you want to, and your major was ITM, right? So when you reach out to these ITM companies, whether they're hiring managers, whether they're HR people, your approach is kind of like different from Wasim, in that Wasim was just trying to get connections out in the field. Usually when people start doing the work that we're teaching you, they're like, well, what the heck do I say next? So the beauty of what we're up to is you get to talk about Illinois Tech's 2023 Spring Career Fair. And in the process of talking about it, you're building business relations where somewhere along the lines, you're being strategic in that you're like posing yourself into, oh, by the way, do you have any openings?
Sorry? Are you applying for graduate school? Yeah. Today I just I asked
Shubham,
for
Shubham,
in the
your
class. The
mic's
last time was about okay. Yeah. I think yeah. Yeah.
All right, Nagashri, did you get
Sorry,
that?
Bernie, I was in the class, so
Yeah, I know,
like
I got
you
that.
may have
Man.
some kind of thing.
I
Sorry,
got that. The
sorry.
professor called on you.
Yeah.
I'm pretty clear right now. I don't have any questions.
All right, cool. And I'm going to be redirecting you to some information so that you could catch up with where the rest of everybody else is at. Okay?
Sure.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So,
Shubham can speak
Bernie.
now.
Yeah. Actually, now I was thinking like, already like I am like first year student at IIT. So like there is a major question like for this spring career fair, like how I can like be in the place for like, because the first time I was just making the connections, I was very new to career fair, and since I know all the procedure for the fall, now it's my turn to like whatever the connections I made from last career fair, how I can convert to like internship like that for the spring semester, like we will be eligible, because I don't think like my CPT or OPT will be working from June or July month like that. So I'm just a bit worried, like if I get selected for the internship, so will I able to work on this?
Yes. So just for the rest of the team, Shubham actually asked a very, very packed question because he was hitting it from various layers. Okay. So number one, I understand that you're a newer student, and then you had kind of like CPT issues on top of what you were saying. So there's different students are going to be strategic based on their own particular situations. So to answer your question, Shubham, now you're becoming eligible for internships. So if I were
Okay.
you, to kind of like make this more relevant to you, look for those companies who may not have been on the list yet for Illinois Tech, and you now have the ability to go out to them and say, hey, I'm a business relations strategist for Illinois Tech. We'd like to invite you to the next career fair. But at the same time, you're kind of like taking care of like your own personal agenda, so to speak. But you're using the spring career fair to your advantage because you have this reason to now reach out to these people that you're talking about. So you can do two things. You can strengthen the relationship of the people that you connected with the last time, saying, hey, this is what I'm doing right now. I was just curious if you guys are aware of 2023. You probably got the messages from us, but is there any way I can help you? You kind of like be an ambassador for them to kind of like help them out with Nick, perhaps. So there's all sorts of possibilities as to how to make their life easier and positioning yourself in the middle as a person who's helping them. So like what we said earlier, if this was truly about business relationships, would that business relationship be stronger because of the help you're giving? And the answer is an absolute yes. Does that make sense?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Bernie.
Yeah, sure.
So I have a class, so I think I have to leave right now.
Yeah,
Really
no
late.
worries, no worries. Thanks for joining us, Shubham, and we'll send you the
Yeah.
recording.
Thank you.
Somebody else who was kind of silent, and I'm not sure whether he could speak, is to represent BME Ajibola, if you can't speak. Otherwise, anybody else, please feel free to jump. I realize it's 1:23. And other questions? No questions? So if you guys have no questions, I have a question as to how to make this more on a regular basis. Is Thursday or Friday better to have like a regular meeting wherein it actually is going to become a workshop to answer your issues? So this is the way it's going to work. I'm going to start out by, I'm going to like hold your hand, so to speak. For the more advanced students who've kind of like done this in the past, you could probably skip that. You could ask me questions directly, but I want to make it such that everybody's singing off the same sheet. Okay. Some are going to be more advanced. Some are going to be very new. So I'm going to start it from scratch. For the advanced students, reach out to me for direct. But what I want to do is, as students are reaching out to these companies, let's have a weekly meetup like this for however long. It doesn't have to be an hour, so that you guys can ask me questions. We'll record it, and then we could all move forward with best practices. Neil suggests that we call it weekly check-ins. Absolutely. And the check-ins are actually going to be workshopping of what's going on with your outreach out there. So for these weekly check-ins, how about we do this? In chat, since that's what you said, is Thursday good? If the answer is yes, say yes.
Yeah, Thursday would be
chat.
better.
Wasim says, okay. Neil says Nandish gets Thursday as well. All right, sounds good. And I did say Friday. Who would say Friday is better? It looks like Thursday is the winner. So we will do this and we will record it every Thursday. Any final questions? Because the next step to this is me just kind of recreating this whole thing in an email sent out to you guys, so we're all on the same page. No questions? So number one, look out for the email. That's going to be a summary of what we have moving forward and the action items moving forward, so you know what to do. And then our next meeting is going to be Thursday at lunch. Same time, same channel. All right, guys, thank you so much for your participation, and looking forward to working with you guys as business relations strategists. Bye, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Bernie.
Thank you.